it's a little bit ironic. No, I'm not Alanis Morissette, but it is a bit ironic because I have always preferred to take advice from someone who had been through something similar to me, or at least had been through kind of a lot. I've never really given that much for people read something in a book and then thought they were the expert. But for some reason, I've still convinced myself that my experiences, my worst experiences, didn't really have any value. And it's a little bit funny. Okay, I'm quoting songs today apparently, but it is kind of funny that we can have this knowledge or preference ourselves. We can think, okay, I prefer to have take advice from people who have actually lived and struggled and done all the things, and who hasn't just been to university or just read a lot of books and don't have any kind of life experience. And at the same time, we can totally disregard everything we have been through ourselves in our life and just think, oh no, that's different. Because I'm not worth taking any kind of advice from. And I think a lot of it has to do, at least from my own experience, it has to do with, for so many years, I have been so filled up by shame and guilt about bad choices in my past, or just things I wasn't good at, or I thought I should be further along. So I have, for years, many years actually, just kind of walked around like this big pile of shame wearing a bodysuit. And it's only very recently I've begun to kind of change my perspective about this and see all the struggles I have been through, and there has been a lot. Just one of my biggest I don't even want to say, you can't even say mistakes or regrets or something, because it's in the past, it has happened, there's nothing really we can do about it. But I have a lot of debt, and I still have it. Most of it is student debt, but also there also is something from my previous company. And I have had so much shame about this, because I should have known better, and I'm so old now and it's still there and I never got it fixed, and there's all these kinds of things. So there's many people I haven't even told, especially about the company debt. But still, it's something, if I had met new people, or if I had gone on a date or started to see someone or something, I have really not wanted to tell them about this, because I felt so much shame and guilt around it. And it's not like I think it's the greatest thing now, but now I began to see that, okay, for one, it is in the past. I can't, no matter how much I think about it, no matter how much I think if things could only have been different, or if I have done this or that or whatever, or no matter how much shame or guilt I feel about it, and how much I beat myself up, it's not going to change. It's still there. And nothing is going to change it. Not from not going back, at least. Because you can't change the past. And you can't do anything about your poor choices or whatever has happened. You can't change what has happened to you, what you have done, even though you think you should have known better, because the fact is just, it happened. There's nothing you can do about it now. So just And no one is benefiting anything from you keep walking around filled with shame or guilt and beating yourself up and thinking you don't deserve better, or you don't deserve to move forward, or you don't have any value to give. Because when I think about all the things I've been through, and I actually tried to make a list just a bit earlier today, just from the top of my head, some of all the things I have been through in my life, from having an autoimmune disease, which I still have, to getting a very late ADHD diagnosis, to having so much trouble around money, and being single for 20 years and all of the things that comes with that, and emotional unavailable dad who hasn't, but there's so much stuff. Addiction in your family, toxic patterns, relationships, low self-worth, low self-esteem, everything. Weight struggles. There's just full bingo card of things that I have experienced and that I have personal experience with. And it's not like I have it all figured out, because I don't really have anything figured out, but it gives me some it gives me some experience and a different perspective than if I had just read books about it. And that has value, because I know for myself, if I'm going through something, or if I'm going through something, I have some kind of trouble, or if I'm feeling ashamed about something, then I know I'm going to something. I'm speaking to someone about it that I know can at least not necessarily know what I'm going through, because they don't need to have experienced exactly the same, but they have gone through enough in their life to be able to imagine how it would be and feel empathy, and just without judgment. And I think that is it has so much value. And it is a bit funny that when it's yourself, because you're so immersed in all of this shame and guilt, and you really want to just keep it, because you don't want to let yourself off the hook, because you made this mistake and that must mean you're a terrible person and you never deserve to like succeed in life, or to move beyond this, even though you have changed. And that has been such a big struggle. And it is a bit ironic that it's only recently that I'm actually really beginning to see how much value there is in these kinds of sorry, these kinds of painful experiences that a lot of people go through. Because some of the most important thing, if you're going through something, it is to feel seen and heard, and that someone else can kind of understand what you're going through and can just offer some perspective, or at least you can see, okay, I'm not the only one who has gone through this, and that person over there is still alive, even though it can sometimes feel like this is gonna kill me, at least metaphorically. So if you're walking around and feeling shame about something, I really just want to remind you that it's not like trauma is a good thing. It's not like I'm so happy all of this crap happened to me. Of course not. And there's no reason to be. But you don't have to keep holding on to all of this shame and guilt. And you don't need to disregard all of the experience you have, because it has so much value, and it can really help other people to just see their own situation differently or feel less alone, less shameful about what has happened. And I think that is such an important thing to offer another human being, no matter if it's on YouTube or if it's just one to one or however it may be. I just really want to remind you that there's so much strength, there is so much wisdom, even though it doesn't always feel like it, because it doesn't necessarily feel like you know all of this great stuff because you have gone through shit. But just having gone through it and having learned from it, that makes it really valuable, I think. So this is just a little reminder for both you and me. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, that it's not only for you out there, but that makes sense, right? That it's coming from personal experience as the whole topic about this video. Also because it's something I have struggled so much with. And luckily it gets better and better. And I feel that there's a lot of things that I have felt a lot of shame about that has loosened its grip. So it's not difficult to talk about anymore, and I don't feel ashamed the way I used to. Because that is in the past. I'm not the same person anymore. And even if I was, there's still nothing to do about it. And what your worst experiences or decisions has been, no matter what, it's still, you shouldn't be punished for it forever. At some point it must be like, I can't change it, but I know I wouldn't do it again if I had the chance, and I'm a different person. And then you must really just let yourself go. And it's easier said than done. It has taken me a long time. And if you're struggling with this right now, as many people are, then one of my best advice would be do some EFT tapping, because that can really take some of the charge out of the shame. It's really effective, and you begin to see, okay, so yes, I made a crappy decision, I did a bad thing. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person, and it doesn't mean that I am worthless or should be punished forever. That is not how this works. And if you think about it, you would never judge other people as hard as you judge yourself. I know that from myself. If other people have told me something, like I would tell them, or I have experienced myself, I would never say, okay, you deserve to just feel shame and guilt for the rest of your life. I would never. Or you just deserve to just stay stuck forever and just get punished. No, of course not. But for ourselves, it's often a different story. But we should really extend the same grace to ourselves as we do to others. That would really make our lives a lot better. And actually also just open our eyes to how much we actually then can contribute to others with the experience we have. So that was just, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for listening. And I would love to hear if there's something you just feel so much shame about that you don't even want to tell other people about it. Of course, you don't have to write anything in the comment field, but if you want to, you're more than welcome. But I would love to hear just any comments or thoughts about this. So thank you for listening, and take care. Bye.